Welcome to Recipe to Success, the show where we sit down with entrepreneurs from all different backgrounds to learn more about their journey to success. My name is Humza Zahoor, CEO and founder of Social Awaken. I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to another episode of Recipe to Success. Before we go into the episode, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and smash that like button. This one is a really, really special one. Now, not only is this special because this is someone I've followed for the past few years, but it's also special because he hasn't really done this sort of thing. He's not camera shy or anything like that. He's no stranger to the camera, but he hasn't really done his story. Chuckie, how are you?
Well, good, bro. How are you, man?
I'm good. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for coming here.
I mean, this is really special, like I just said, because obviously you are normally the one that is interviewing people, or you're just having real conversations on Halfcast, or doing interviews with artists and things like that. But you've not really done it really too much with yourself.
Yeah, do you know what? Like I was saying to you before, I turn a lot of them down just because I feel like I give a lot of myself when I'm recording a podcast and that, yeah? And even when I'm recording content in itself. So like, in my own mind, I'm like, yeah, for those who followed me for a little while, yeah, they will be able to piece certain things together and they'll like know a lot about me or whatnot. And then at some point, I'll probably sit down and have a conversation about life or whatever. But you know what? I'm here, innit? Why not? Like, why not?
Yeah, it's funny because I had this conversation with my friends and I was like, I might be getting Chuckie on, and because we all watch Halfcast, because it's not only a part of the culture, I think, but it's also like we learn a little bit about you, a little bit about Poet, a little bit about Dan, and it's just proper cool. Like it's just a relaxed kind of podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to just go into everything really today. For you, why was Halfcast so important a part of the journey? Because that kind of changed everything in terms of your career, I'm guessing. So I want you to go a little bit back in terms of your story, in terms of where it all began with Halfcast. Because I think I first kind of found out about Halfcast. I think there was an episode you did with I think it was Gigs.
Right.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That's where I kind of got hooked onto it. And before that, you was doing Link Up TVs. I remember Breakfast with Crept and, and things like that. So where did it all begin for you? Not just Halfcast, but where did everything start for Chuckie?
All right. Okay, so where it all started is far back and there's a lot in there, yeah? But what I'll, because you mentioned more so the podcast, I'll kind of talk about how that came together. So a lot of people know I'm a DJ. Actually, do you know what I've realised? Actually, a lot of people don't even know that.
You're a DJ, you're a public figure, you're an entrepreneur, you are a podcast host.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything I missed?
I don't know. That's it, I guess. Yeah.
A lot of people don't know you're a DJ.
Yeah, I come from a DJ background. My dad was a DJ. Music was a big thing in my household and even amongst my family and stuff, yeah. And I've always been really passionate about music and artists and albums and why artists are making certain types of music or whatever. And I realized actually where I got that from is I grew up in a household, yeah, where my mum and my mum's husband in particular, yeah, if you go to even to this very day, yeah, if you go to their house on a Sunday, food's getting cooked, tunes are playing or whatever, yeah, my mum and my mum's husband will talk. There'll be a song that will come on and it could be an old song it could either be Dennis Brown or it could even be a Madonna song or whatever, yeah. They will both be talking about not only the song, how important it was to them or what was going on at the time. They'll also talk about what they were wearing at the time, what was going on culturally at the time, what was going on politically at the time, and painting the full picture. So I feel like I grew up watching that a lot. So inherently, I think I took a little bit of that. So yeah, I was doing radio, doing pirate radio and stuff like that.
How far does this go back? What age were you at that point?
Oh boy, I was doing pirate radio. Gosh, I've done pirate radio for a lot of my life because I used to MC. Yeah. So we were on pirate radio MCing from when I was 13, 14 or whatever. A bit later than that. Maybe I was about 15. And then I started taking music with me to the radio station and playing my own songs and doing all of that, because ultimately I didn't want to be an MC. Like, I wanted to play music and stuff. And then, like, to cut a long story short, I was doing pirate radio, but then I had this big ambition to want to be on One Extra. So, like, I was doing so much stuff to try and get their attention, and that I bought CD duplicators, right? At first I had one CD duplicator, and I would burn 7 CDs in 3 minutes, yeah? And what I would do is, say like Carnival's coming up, what I'd do is I'd like go to a wholesaler's, buy like maybe 2,000-3,000 CDs or whatever, and then I would literally sit there and I would just burn them off. I'd get artwork printed up and whatnot. I'll tell you a funny thing as well, yeah? When I was doing my mixed CDs and that, I used to put my face on it. And I remember at the time, people used to think that was funny. Like, rah, like, Chuck's is putting his fucking... Look at him! But in my mind, I always knew the reason why I'm doing this is not on a big-headed thing or because I thought I was a celebrity or anything like that. It was because I wanted people to remember me some way, shape or form. If they heard this CD, they would look at the cover, they'd hear this mixed CD, and then they would remember me. Or they may not remember me, but when they see me, they'd be like, I swear I recognize you from somewhere. Yeah, boom, here's another CD. Do you understand what I'm saying? So like, I do that. But then I bought a second CD duplicator because I remember One Extra was doing One Extra live. So I would like think, all right, cool, let me buy some more like thousands of CDs again, do that and stand outside there and just hope that like someone like because if every time they had an event, if I kept popping up, then it's undeniable. So I made that guy. Exactly. And so I had made connects and I'd already knew a few people in there anyway. So I was just trying to be actively showing them that I'm there and I'm doing stuff or whatever. Yeah, I'm like grafting or whatnot. So to cut a long story short, I remember like there was a time they were doing One Extra Talent or whatever, and I never got the call. But then CJ Beats, who was a DJ on there, he rang me and was like, did you get a call for it? And I was like, nah. And he was like, I'll sort it out for you. So that was they were doing, like each DJ had a show for a month. So I think say you was a DJ, like you might do June and you'll do like every Monday throughout June. And then on the next month, they'll do another DJ. Mm-hmm. So I did their very last one. And literally after I did that, I got really good feedback from it. But I left there thinking to myself, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing. I'm just going to do my own thing. I'm going to stop chasing this now.
But how did that feel? Because that was a big thing for you. You wanted to get on One Extra and you did it. At that point, did you feel like, oh, okay, I've done what I was set out to achieve?
No. There was someone who was very close to me in the building at the time. Her name's called Delisa. She's at Amazon now. And Delisa was helping me a lot with trying to get me on the station, and she would tell me a lot that there's politics in radio and it's difficult and like, you know, but she believed in me and she was always trying to like really help me get through the door. And when I ended up doing that, yeah, I think what happens sometimes is when you're like going and pursuing something and a lot of people are telling you, oh, you know what, you're actually really good at this, yeah, but then like the thing that you want doesn't happen, then that can start playing tricks on you a little bit. Because for me, after a while, I started thinking, do you know what? Maybe I'm actually just not even good enough. Like maybe I'm not good enough. So when I got the call to do that, now became my idea of, let's forget this whole trying to be on there thing. Now I'm here. Let me just know, I need to prove to myself that I'm actually good enough. Yeah, there's politics and all these things. Forget that. I got 4 shows. Like, I'm not doing this for anyone other than myself. Like, I was trying to nail this thing just for me. Yeah. So once I did that, I got good feedback about it, but I felt good about it. More importantly, I felt good about the shows that I'd done. And so from that moment, I was like, yeah, do you know what? Like, I know that I'm good enough, but I'm just going to go and do my own thing and then just like see what happens from there. So I ended up doing a radio show, but I was just doing it from my bedroom, and it was a pre-recorded show. I was just playing music and whatever, and I knew a lot of artists. I knew like because I'd travelled with an artist, I DJ'd for an artist, I'd done loads of tours with some, I'd met a lot of people. Like, I feel like in where we grew up and how we grew up, I grew up at a time where we didn't really see an industry. Like, man was just going to radio and just spitting bars. Like,
there
people just linking up. There wasn't exactly. Like, everyone was just doing shit because it was just fun, and like-minded people would naturally just gravitate to each other. Do you get what I'm saying? So an artist would know, like, flipping, I'm a DJ, yeah, Chucks, like, I got this tune, can you run this tune or whatever? So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing this radio show, I've got this feature called Phone Check. Look, can I just like ring you and just chat to you for like a minute? Yeah, cool. So I think I did Gets, I did G Fresh, I did Kano, I did who else? I did Ray, I did Jay Prince, and yeah, I did a few other artists anyway. Literally just 10-minute conversations, whatever, just catching up with them. They're all like super early in their career, whatever. Kano had obviously done some bits and pieces and whatnot. G Fresh was, Bara. He's obviously Young Bane's manager now. Mm-hmm. But then one day I was supposed to do Angel, yeah, and I used to DJ for Angel, but he was long for whatever reason. He was long, yeah. And I randomly just thought, you know what, yeah, I had Wiley's telephone number, so I just thought, you know what, I just text him and see if he wants to do it, yeah. So I text him, and then he was like, yeah, cool, like, I'll do it now. And I wasn't prepared, I wasn't ready, I was sitting and just chilling, I had nothing set up here. So when he said yeah, I thought, shit, boom, cool. I just like set everything up or whatever, I think he was in Cyprus. And then I just recorded, and then we started talking, and we talked for an hour. Like, after 10 minutes, I thought, you know what? There's no way I'm stopping this conversation, innit? 'Cause I don't know when I'm getting him on the phone again. So, we talked for an hour, and once that was done, I was thinking, shit, what am I going to do with that? So I just put it on my SoundCloud. I just thought, let me just put it out there. And when I put it out there, I always remember, like, the first initial responses were, right, this is sounding sick, but you know what, yeah? Maybe you should have just had like 10-minute segments or 5-minute segments, because no one was really used to listening to a conversation dry like that.
Long form content.
Long form, exactly, 1 hour, yeah. But my mind was always like, if it's interesting, people find it interesting enough, they're just going to sit and they're going to listen to it. So I put it out, and that done really well. So then one thing that I would do is I'll just turn the microphone on and I would just talk back to myself. I went to Red Bull Culture Clash one time, and like what Red Bull Culture Clash, how they embodied sound system culture was amazing to me. And I knew that people didn't understand the significance in what Red Bull Culture Clash was doing at that time and how they were executing it. So I just wanted to talk about it. So I just turned the microphone on and just talked for like 25 minutes about it or whatever, or maybe even half an hour. So I was doing that, and then I was like trying to find other people to have long form conversations with. I did one with Cashtastic when he got removed from the UK, which is still one of my favourite conversations. I did another one, and then in the end I just called Poet and I was like, yo, do you want to we should just do like a podcast type thing? And he was like, what do you want to do it about? I was just like, I don't know, man, like whatever. And he was like, yeah, because I want to talk about this, that, no, yeah, blah, blah. So I was like, you know what, boom, let me find a studio. So Casa, who's highly from Weston's brother, he told me about a studio called Jukebox. And he gave me a number, rang the number, I linked the guy. We went there, looked at the studio, I said, yep, this is Chris. He said, what do you need? I said, just 2 microphones. That was it. And he's like, cool. So we recorded it. I brought Poet there, we recorded it. Poet was like, when should we do it again? I was like, let's do it next month. He said, no, let's do it next week. And then we cracked on. The person who I ended up meeting for the studio ended up being Dan. And then Dan used to sit in, obviously record. Then he started to like have a little bit of input or whatever, and I used to call him Producer Dan, and then in the end I started calling him Savage Dan, and then boom.
So you obviously were doing the long form conversations with artists, but at that time podcasting wasn't where it is today as well.
No.
So how did that idea come to you? Was it just organic? Like you just thought, you know what, I'm going to start something. And at that moment, did you think, okay, this is going to be something that will get into the culture? Or were you just like, let's just do it. This is something I want to do.
Yeah, in the beginning, I didn't think none of that. I just did it. And we was just doing it. But then I'd say maybe like 10 episodes in, I started to pay attention to how like some of the podcasts that like people that were like from America that were doing it, because some of them were doing it from before. I know that like Brilliant Idiots they might have started theirs maybe just before we started ours. No, they'd maybe been around. We're like what, 5.5 years now, I think. So Brilliant Idiots is probably like 6.5. And so I was like looking at them, and I was looking at Joe Rogan, and I was looking at like just anything that had long conversations, and just I think I was looking at them more so to think like, am I doing something weird? Like, is it weird? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, we're just sitting and we're just having like long conversations and that, and like, yeah, we're talking about music and we're talking about some other bits and pieces, but I guess in some way I was looking at them and I was thinking, okay, they're kind of doing sort of a similar thing. Like, how are they doing it, and how can I do it differently? Like, what makes mine different? That was one thing that I would think about a lot. Like, if this is going to be big, like, why would mine be different to like what is already out there? Bearing in mind that there was nothing really out there, but I just wanted to have something that was different about mine that not anyone could just do. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
So before we go into where Halfcast eventually led to and how it just blew up in the kind of culture and, you know, the thousands of views and all that kind of stuff, but I want to go a little bit more back in terms of your upbringing, because you mentioned you came from a music background, you know, in your household everyone was listening to music and that was a big part for you. But what about your upbringing in terms of Chuckie himself before he was Chuckie Online? Because I'm always interested in understanding people that achieve success and get to the place that they desire. What's their upbringing like, and how does that impact them moving down the line?
My upbringing was cool. Like, I'll talk from a perspective of being young, yeah. Because there's two perspectives here. There's one of being young, and there's one of being older and looking back. When I was young, things seemed okay. Like, things actually seemed all right. Like, I went to a school that was predominantly white. My year group in year 7 was like one of the first years where it was like starting to get multicultural or whatever. But I had a big family too. So on my dad's side of the family, I had loads of cousins and that, and I had like a couple of cousins in particular that I was always like very close with. And again, music was still played a big part in our life in a couple of different ways. Like, we used to skate, and I remember one of my older cousins, Big Morris, yeah, he used to like always pick me, my cousins, and our friends up. So like, let's say like Big Morris would come pick me, my cousin Elliot David, and then he would pick up like whoever my friends were that was skating would be like, yeah, we're gonna go. What was the place called? The place was called Roller Express. He was like, yeah, I'm going to take you lot Roller Express. So he'd just come take us, then we go Roller Express, then yeah, we'd do that, and then he'd drop us back. Or if I was at my cousin's estate, Big Morris would come, pick me, my cousins up, and then my cousins' brethren, and then we'd all do that, yeah. So like there was always like a nice sense of community in that sense. Do you get what I'm saying? And as we started to get into music, I spent a lot of time in the bedroom with like some of my cousins who had like decks. And like, there was a guy called Jason Speed who had decks, and like, he would teach us all how to mix, but I would stay. So everyone else would go back outside and I would stay in his room, and he would like teach me or whatever. So I learned how to mix when I was really young or whatnot. But yeah, like, I didn't have a lot, but I never felt broke. I never felt like I needed anything. In hindsight now, as I'm older, I realized how much my mum smashed it. And how much she did her best to provide for me, because She didn't have anything. There was bailiffs coming to the yard, and I didn't know none of these type of things. She was in mad debt and all of these things. But like, you know what? The one thing that I would say that was super positive for me is that my mum was always very supportive of what I wanted to do. As long as I was doing something constructive and I wasn't doing some of the things that my cousins and all of these lot were doing, like some of my older cousins, she was always very supportive and just used to always say to me, yeah, as long as you can say to yourself that you're trying your best, that's it. That's the most important thing. Just try and do your best, innit? So, yeah, like I think in some way you put that in a pot, and yeah, somehow I ended up finding myself in the music game.
Mm-hmm. Then fast forward, now let's go back to Halfcast and kind of where it led to. In fact, before that, well, actually during Halfcast, you were also doing a few things here and there, like link up TV videos and things like that. Do you think that was because of where Halfcast was going, even though it was very early on, or do you think that it was just because of the people that you knew and the circles that you were connected in?
I think it was a bit of both, in a sense that, like, before I did those conversations, yeah, and before I did like the long form conversations or whatnot, like a few people knew me and that. I was lingering around and stuff like that, and I was trying bits and pieces. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there's one thing I did actually where I had this idea of, I used to call the mix on a mission, and what I would do is I would try to like get rappers and get them to spit on like American beats. And I had like, I had Scorcher do one, I had Angel do something on a Frank Ocean thing or whatever. And like, so that was the kind of the place that I was trying to go with it. And then I was thinking, right, maybe I might start producing some rhythms or whatever it may be, yeah. But when I started then doing the conversational stuff, I think once someone saw that there was something in it and that I was decent at it, the opportunity came up for me to be able to, you know, go and do something with GRM or whatnot. And shout out to Caroline, actually, because Caroline, who worked there, she was really young at the time, but she was kind of on that vibe of, yeah, we should do something. And I was like, yeah, like maybe I just want to have like a long in-depth conversations with like artists or whatever. And there's like, yeah, they found a space, they had a chair. And then I think the first one I did was JME. Yeah, the first one I did was JME. JME actually, yeah, has been a part of every single thing that I've started. Nearly every single thing I've started, he's been a part of in some way. Like when I was doing a radio show and at Bang Radio, and I wanted to start talking about certain things and having people in, he came. Like when I did the GRM thing on the couch and that, he came. When I did the link up TV thing, when I went to go and have like lunch and breakfast with me, he came and did that. And then he came on the 100th episode on the podcast.
I think it's more so to do with the fact that you were always authentic with it, because you know there's a lot of people out there, like they try a bit too hard with certain things, and I think one of the things that people have fallen in love with about you is your laid back approach. You're just real with everything that you do, and that kind of shines through everything that you put out. And then naturally the people that you work with, they actually genuinely resonate with you, even your audience, and that's why people come back, because they actually enjoy Chuckie and they actually feel like they know Chuckie. So at that point you started, you're doing a few things with Halfcast and Link Up, and at that, I think moving down a little bit, podcasts started becoming a little bit hotter. I'm sure you probably noticed, like, okay, maybe the views are going up a little bit. Callum at that point's come on board. I'm thinking
he came like quite like. It depends on how far. It depends on what you're talking about, because he came a little bit further down. But when it came to like the podcasting thing and like us starting to move with that, I think one of the really positive things that happened with podcasting in the UK, which in some senses benefited us, it was Taser came on our podcast because he was really interested in the whole process or whatever.
This was before 3 Shots.
This was before 3 Shots. So he came on. I've known Taser for a long time, yeah. So he came on, he was a part of it or whatever. And then he went off and then did 3 shots, yeah. And 3 shots became really big. And I think that like, that benefited us too. Because what happened was, even though we had been doing it longer, they came out with a bang. And they reached some people who, this was the first time that they were listening to something like this. The same as we were. Like, we had a lot of people that had never listened to podcasts before, but was interested in what we were doing. But naturally, what would happen is, when you got like someone up there that's doing that like that, you'll have people that are like, right, this is actually kind of cool. What else is out there? What else is happening out there? Do you get what I'm saying? Oh, boom, you lot are doing your, okay, let me go and check that out. Do you get what I'm saying? So, like, whereas some people may look at that, yeah, in their come up and feel disheartened or have some type of envy or whatever it was. I knew in my head, yeah, these guys doing that, this can be good for us. And more people coming out and doing their thing could be good for us, because I have got so much belief, yeah, in what we do. And I genuinely believe that there's not, like, we provide something that is not much people can do. Do you get what I'm saying? You can't just turn, like, you won't just turn on another place and just like instantly hear something like what we essentially do. So with that type of belief, yeah, I'm just like, yeah, this is obviously more for us and we can just expand on it and just keep organically being us. The thing for me as well, yeah, is like, the reason why it's so easy for me to do it is because, like, I am a sole believer in just being consistently yourself. And so, like, even though I was looking around at times for elements of inspiration or whatnot, I knew that whatever was going to come to me, some of it was going to come organically, and I just had to follow my intuition with that. And I've always done that. And yeah, I've always felt, even in moments where I might have had a bit of backlash or whatever it may be, I'm comfortable with that because I know my heart and I know exactly what I'm trying to do and where I'm trying to go with it. And sometimes if that means that people might misunderstand some of the things that I say, then it just is what it is. But yeah, like, podcasting ended up becoming more of a thing. And for me as well, I started to think about, where could I actually take this? Like, what could we actually do with this? Some of the ideas that I delayed on, and other podcasters were able to implement them, maybe because of the reach that they had at the time. But you know what? Like, for me, this wasn't about a sprint. This was a marathon for me anyway. So it wasn't about, you know what, shit, like, I need to do this before that person, or, shit, these lot have done this before me, or whatever. It's like, nah, everything's going to work out in the time that I need it to work out in, but it's got to feel right. Boom. What can be the next thing? Yeah, I need to, like, I want to have more conversations about music. Yeah, do you know what? I actually want to have more conversations about life. We'll talk about relationships. I want to, like, open up a little bit more about stuff. Now this feels like my front room. Like, I'm just chatting with my brethren and being open and honest about it, and I'm giving a lot of myself, and it feels good. It feels like therapy now. I'm like, right, this actually feels like therapy. Then there came a point of, I want to visualize this, but I don't want to just visualize it and just fling it out there. Like, I wanted a little bit of a plan, and I wanted to make sure that when we did it, that there was going to be some consistency. So yeah, like, that was a thought that was going through my mind for ages before we eventually started visualizing it. And I met a few different, like, camera guys. Like, anytime I saw someone with a camera or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, do you know what? I do a podcast or whatnot. Some people knew already. Some people didn't, but I was like, yeah, I want to visualize it or whatnot. I might give them a card or just give them my number or whatnot, and then just see what happens from it. But, like, honourable shout out to Callum still, yeah. The one thing that I like, that I gravitated to the most was that I met Callum. I gave Callum my number or whatever, and then Callum hit me, and I was like, yeah. Like, I told him, or we just had a little conversation or whatever. Then he hit me again. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, let me go and link him. Because no one else, whenever I spoke to someone about it, was just like, yeah, like, all right, well.
There was no real hunger.
Yeah, it was just whatever. And I thought, like, no disrespect to them. It wasn't even a thing that I overthought. But, like, I knew straight away. You know, like, sometimes it takes for something to happen, for you to realize why you didn't gravitate to that.
100%.
Do you get what I'm saying? And the thing that happened was him shouting me again made me realize, oh, this is the reason why I didn't gravitate to you lot, because I didn't hear that. And that's not like an entitlement thing. Definitely not.
It's just that because he did do that.
Yeah, I'm like, right, yeah, shit, he actually really wants to do this. And I really want to do this. So let's have a conversation and see how we can make it work. Boom. So we were filming it way before we actually ended up putting out the first one. We were just testing it, seeing what it kind of looked like or whatever. I think like once I first saw it, I thought, yeah, this could actually be sick still. And we were just doing like little Instagram things first.
So you mentioned like during the whole process, you were never seeing it as a sprint. You're always seeing it as a marathon.
I still do.
And I think that's so important because a lot of the kids nowadays, people growing up, they want everything straight away. They don't want to wait. They want instant success. They think everything happens overnight. So why do you think that you always had that in you? Like you were just always thinking about the bigger picture. Was that just something that was within you, or did other people around you kind of say, you know what, be patient, things will happen?
You know, honestly, consciously and even more so subconsciously, yeah, I think I saw a lot of times in life, yeah, whether it be from artists or whether it be in the streets, where people had like quick come-ups and then they just went just as quick. You know, I always think back to like, there's a moment that always like, I always think about, yeah, there was a guy from an estate that I grew up on, and like, when I tell you, yeah, fam, this guy was the guy. Like, he had like a strong couple of years doing the road thing, whatever. Like, I was inspired, bro. Seriously. But then, do you know what? Like, that big come up, like, got shut down super quick. I worked around artists that, like, I'd seen, you know, do something so amazing and then just completely, like, just burn out very quick. And so I never wanted that to be me. I never wanted my thing to be like, you know, I'm just going to be here now, gone tomorrow, whatever. But I also thought, like, when I'm starting, yes, like, this isn't the biggest thing in the world, but it's fine. It's fine. Like, why am I doing it? I'm doing it because I love it, innit? I do it because I love it. If there was only a couple of people that were watching it, I would still do it. I'd find a way to make it happen some way. I'd find a way. Maybe I might have to do other things on the side, but I'm still going to do this because this is something that comes natural to me. So if this thing moves quicker, moves fast, I'm going to try and find a way to make sure that, you know, there's a nice life within it. But if it moves slow, it's fine because I believe that it can go and get to a certain place. It just sometimes, some things just take some time. Do you know what I mean? And like, I said that other day, yeah, honestly, bro, any little blessing that has come to me, any little blessing that I've ever got, yeah, has never come to me easy. I've had to work so hard and be so consistent to get some of the things that I have been able to get in my life. And like, don't even take that as me being in the place that I want to be yet. But like, it's not that at all. But for sometimes for whatever reason, you get some people that like a blessing just comes to them. They still work, but you know, like sometimes some people can just fall into certain opportunities or whatever it may be, and it just works out for them very quickly. It might die quickly, but you know, like some people just have them. I know some people that just have a blessing like that. Mine have never come that way. I have had to, bro, go through crazy downs, yeah, but stay consistent for me to essentially get this. So sometimes when I even hear people that, I don't know, that might know me a little bit and whatnot, talk from a perspective of things of just like, oh, it's sick, like things are just happening now or whatever. I'm like, yo, please just remember, yeah, I've been here for time. I look at Joe Rogan, yeah. Joe Rogan got 100 million from Spotify. A lot of people look at Joe Rogan and say, rah, Joe Rogan got 100 million from Spotify. I'm going to start my podcast today because I'm going to, fam, if you go back to Joe Rogan's first episode, you'll find you're going back 15 years, bro. You find that like when he was going and doing his podcast, he had a TV with a back, yeah, right? A TV with a back. We're looking at TVs now with flat screens and all of that. He had a TV with a back and a webcam, bro. He had a TV with a back and a webcam. You're going back all the way to that. And so sometimes some people just see those things and think that it's going to come quickly. But for me, nah, man, like there's still such a long way to go. But I'm confident that we will get to a place that is satisfying.
Now, I don't know if you see it this way, but at the beginning of the podcast, I said one of the things that you are as an entrepreneur. And the reason why I say that is, I mean, having learnt your story a little bit more as well, you can tell that there's certain things that are just entrepreneurial within you. Like, for example, going back to when you were doing the mixtapes, putting your face on it, and you understood attention. You understood that the power of personal branding before it was even a thing.
Yeah.
And even now to this day, I'm not sure maybe why you do it, but a little thing like where Halfcast goes up is called Chuckie Online's page. And, you know, that kind of has pushed you out there a little bit more as well. Your name, your face. And it's eventually led to other things. Now, with obviously the Spotify situation with Joe Rogan, you're right. Obviously, a lot of people, they now think, you know what, we want to start a podcast, which is amazing. It's opened up the industry even more. Similar to the way kind of UK rap and grime happened slowly. But what about Halfcast? I think you've mentioned it once in Halfcast that you had been offered something. Now, I'm not sure how much you can actually talk about that, but from your perspective, all we know is that you didn't go ahead with it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people in your position wouldn't have done that. They would have probably taken the bag and said, you know what, we're going to do it this way. But again, even to this day, you've seen the whole process as a marathon and you're still pushing. So let's talk on that a little bit. Whatever you can.
You see with that, yeah, I think for me personally, I feel like I've come too far to just jump into like a relationship without really looking properly into the relationship, yeah. And okay, let's use a metaphor with like a girl, yeah. When you're younger and you're a little bit less experienced, yeah, sometimes, not for everyone, but sometimes, you know, you meet a girl or whatever, she seems attractive or whatnot, and you're just on that, because it's a situation that's come, it feels new. I haven't been in a situation like this before, whatever, and so you're very quickly likely to jump into something like that. But once you've been through a few things or whatever, there does become a point where it's like, I've come too far to just jump into a relationship and get married and that. And like with them, yeah, there was a conversation that was had and whatnot. But all I can really tell you is that it just wasn't the move for us right now. Do you get what I'm saying? I just felt like it didn't grab me, put it that way. It didn't make me feel like, you know what, like this is the next move that we should do. That doesn't mean that isn't going to happen at some point, but I just think that like sometimes you just gotta like, I don't even want to start sounding like Joe Budden and that, yeah. But I just think, you know what, it's very important to just like assess the terms and like, you know, you got to find out when you're doing a partnership with someone, you got to find out not only what they want from you, but you got to find out what they are going to do for you too. And you got to work. And once you can get that to marry and you know, you're both happy with it, then it can work. It just, for a few reasons, it just wasn't the right situation for us. I think one thing that is really beneficial though, for me, and I feel like even for people that's doing this, is like, it's really good to have conversations with people that are have either been offered deals or been in deals or whatever, just to have a conversation around what's happening around them, because it can give you a good gauge of what you can look for and what you should be looking at.
What not?
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel I encourage that. I know that it's very difficult sometimes to discuss money. Urban Finance always said it's easy to talk money until it's time to talk your money. But I do think that sometimes we should do that. Maybe not get into the full intricacies of stuff, but like sometimes as content creators, we need to just have an open, honest conversation about like what's going on with you. Like how has that worked out for you? A company literally reached out to me the other day. Yeah? It was like a talent agency, and they were just inquiring about me and how I do things or whatever, and they represent a bunch of different people. Before I even responded to the email, I just called somebody that they were representing and had a conversation with them about their experience. Granted, their experience is their experience, but still, you know what? That conversation could be beneficial to me, because that person could turn around to me and say, you know what? This is what happened in our conversation, and what I think you should do when you do chat to them is like mention that, or talk a little bit about this, or get them to elaborate on that. Do you know what I mean? And then you don't fuck yourself over in the end.
Fast forward a little bit now. A lot of things started to pick up. You did Halfcast podcast live. Even more recently, I think over the past year or two, you've had even more growth, doing individual things like the whole JD podcast and deals here and there. And where we are now, I think Chuckie has become a household name, especially within the urban culture. Shout out, you were nominated as well for a GRM Rated Award. When I saw that, I was really happy, because I was like, you know what, Chuckie deserves this. Even if he doesn't get it this time, his time's coming. But from your perspective, where you are now, you mentioned it yourself, you're not 100% where you want to be. But from the outside perspective, people think Chuckie's gone clear. So what do you think about people's opinions from an online perspective, that no matter what's happening within your reality, they almost have this perspective of this is actually what's happening?
Yeah, but again, I think that like everyone has their own reality, innit? And perception and reality is two different things. Do you get what I'm saying? Like what you see and what a person is experiencing is very different, can be very different in that. And like sometimes we have different ideas for what we see as success. And for me personally, there will be, do you know what? I'm thankful for the fact that there are, a lot of people that will look at where I'm at and feel and be inspired to want to be there. But there's a likelihood that when they get there, they'll want to get higher, and they'll want to get higher, and they'll want to get higher. Like I'm not the finish line. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not the finish line. I don't think Joe Rogan's the finish line either. I think that there's like, we all have our own ideas of what that is. And for me, that isn't literally just it's not based off a number. It's not based off a number. I think if anything, it's more based off feeling. Do you get what I'm saying? And, like, I just wanted to go back a bit, because I didn't want this part to get lost, but like the visualizing of the podcast has been amazing. Like the work that Callum has come in and done and contributed with the podcast has been like phenomenal in terms of the growth of it. Yes, of course, you still have to, the conversation is very important. We have to come and sit down and find things to talk about or whatever. But we, as well as us being consistent, it was important for me to have someone next to me that was consistent too. Because no man is an island. I can't do everything by myself. I wish I could. Do you know what? If I was a person that could have done everything by myself, I probably wouldn't have had Callum, because I would have just found everything and done it. But I can't do that, and it's not good to do that. Sometimes you have to bring people in and trust them and trust their opinions and stuff like that. So, when the visualizing of the podcast started to happen, he will always tell you that like numbers and stuff like that isn't something that I'm focused on. I'm very much focused on being able to look back at my catalogue of work and be super proud of what it is that I've done. I also know sometimes I'll come in the studio and I'll know this thing that we're talking about today is going to get hella views. I know that. But I also want to feel comfortable enough to know that I want to come in and have a conversation about how remote controls change the world, and it may not do that well, but that's an interest to me. Do you get what I'm saying? And if you like what it is that I'm doing, then you will watch that, or you will find something within the content that we do that I like. So I say all of that to say this, like, my main thing is to keep watering this podcast plant, because this is the thing that leads to other opportunities. Yeah, this leads to other things that happen. But I always want to be able to come back here and feel comfortable to, you know, sit on the sofa and or sit on this chair in front of the sofa and just talk about whatever it is that I want to talk about, and make this at the same time as big as it possibly can organically. Do you know what I mean? But I always want to look back at my catalogue of work and be happy with it. You know, I don't want to just chase the number. I don't want to chase the thing that just seems like the hottest thing, because that's not fulfilling for me. My job and my life comes from me working on things that are fulfilling for me, and that's success. If I can be fulfilled in my work and be paid for it at the same time and monetize it, then I'm good with it. But yeah, obviously that the payment that I get from that, obviously I want it to be based on what I feel like I'm worth, but the most important thing is the fulfillment.
What are some of the things that came from you putting yourself out there as a personal brand? Because there's a lot of people that still to this day, maybe they don't, from a business perspective at least, maybe they don't understand the power of putting yourself out there as a brand yourself. So from your experience, what's some of the good things that have come from it? Maybe not numbers, but just opportunities that you have been proud of.
Do you know what? Honestly, the Vice documentary put things for me put me in a different space, I think. That was an amazing, and do you know what? There's a backstory behind that, because that wasn't the first thing I did for them. They asked me to do some micro gapping thing where they wanted me to go to Scotland or Cumbria and just do a whole bunch of random shit. And at first I wasn't really on it, but then I was like, nah, do you know what? Like, this is different. I've never been in front of the camera like that. I've always just been like just recording and there's a camera there and we're just chatting and that. I've never been in a scenario where someone's got a camera in my face and asking me what I'm doing and all of that. So let me try it, like, because I have a little bit of an ambition to try and want to do something else. So when I did that, that was when the opportunity for me to then do the gangster rap documentary with Vice and Noisy. And they didn't tell me that there was a whole plan for it. They just asked me, would I be cool with going to Ireland and filming with this guy called Ink or whatever, and they gave me the backstory and whatever. And I was like, yeah, sick. And once I did it, that's when they said, you know what, you was really good. We want you to go Israel. We want you to go Poland. And then that's when I realized, oh shit, they got a plan for this. And so when that came out, and it did what it did, it definitely put me in different conversations. And that was a massive positive for me in terms of like aesthetically, like, you know, and perception and whatever. But internally, what it did is it gave me confidence to know that I could do other things as well. Like, I can document stuff. Someone can put a camera in my face and I won't fold. I can sit and have a conversation in a different type of dynamic. You know, there's a lot of stopping and starting with that. Like, with this, we're just sitting and having a conversation. With that, it is, yeah, you're talking for 10 minutes. Stop. Could you maybe ask that again? Could you walk over? It's a whole different thing. So it gave me confidence to think, okay, cool. Yeah, I could do some other things. I could maybe make something out of that. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's what I'm planning on doing. Working on some more and stuff. But it's amazing what you can do when you are filled with confidence. Do you know what I mean? It's amazing what you can do when you're filled with confidence. And that is on two folds. When somebody who is respected in a field turns around to you and says, you know what? Like, keep going. That does something. But also, once you finish the project and you look back at it, even though you can look back at it and say, I could change that. I could maybe do a little bit better there, or I could, like, maybe I could talk a little bit more louder or show a bit more of my personality or whatever, yeah. Once it's done, though, and you could look at it and say, yeah, Like, I'm actually happy with that. It gives you a certain level of confidence that when you go into your next thing, it's powerful. And that's what I work off. Callum will tell you, bro. Sometimes, there's been times where like, we'll record a podcast, whatever, and I leave and I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm just like, cool. But there's times where I leave the pod and I'm like, there's a spring in my step. What, like, it does. I know this was a good conversation. That gives me confidence. I like that.
But when do you think the dynamic changed a little bit? Because you've been in the game for a while. When do you think the dynamic changed in terms of brands are now willing to work with you? Opportunities are coming for you just being yourself. There doesn't have to be a fake Chuckie. Chuckie doesn't have to perceive himself as something he's not, which, to be honest, you never have. But when do you think that dynamic changed? Because there's a lot of public figures now that they're getting a lot of opportunities with big brands. And the brands themselves know what they're doing, because obviously they know with these guys being themselves, we can tap into a demographic. But did you feel like there was a change in the market at any point where you could just now be respected and also make money from it and benefit?
Yeah, I feel like I noticed a little bit of a change, but I didn't pay too much attention to it. I think brands in particular started to realize that there was power and influence in these types of conversations and whatnot. And I guess, like, you know, when certain things start to get hot, then they kind of want to get an understanding of why it is and associate themselves next to it or whatever. But you know what, like, one thing that I will say is, and that I realized a good few years ago, is that regardless of anything, yeah, where I come from and what I've done and my upbringing and all of that has monetary value. You know, people that are not a part of it and that haven't been a part of it, haven't, you know, experienced these things or whatever, yeah, they find it interesting. They find it super interesting. And you know what, yeah, I feel like there's leverage in moments where when you've been a part of something, yeah, and you see an industry start to grow within it and certain things start to happen and, you know, they want to be a part of it. When they start seeing how you are connected to it, it fascinates them even more. Even in small senses, like, you know, I'll give you an example, yeah. So the other day I was recording a podcast for a brand, and I was supposed to record a bunch of podcasts that day, yeah. And one of the people that we were going to do it for wasn't really that keen on really doing it or whatnot. So they've gone in, they spoke, had a little conversation, what is it about or whatever. And then it's like, who's doing it? Oh, Chuckie's oh yeah, boom, yeah, come on. Like, yeah, I'll do that. Like, you can't buy that. You can't buy that.
It's priceless.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know what, like, all those things eventually account for something. And that, oh, it's Chuckie, that doesn't come from because I'm hot and, you know what, like, I've been the podcast. It's because of I've just been I've grown with my culture. Do you get what I'm saying? And been in and around it and done a whole bunch of different things. So people that are now working in it and doing managerial roles or even artists or whatever it may be, like, we've just kind of almost grown in some senses together. So it's like, yeah, push the brand thing aside. Oh yes, okay, cool. Like, yeah, I'll do that. Brands want to find their way into getting involved in those type of things. So yeah, they'll throw a whole bunch of money at it, but sometimes that isn't even always enough.
If you could put kind of out throughout the journey, right? You've achieved a lot. If you could narrow it down to one thing that would be your recipe to success, what would you say?
Consistency. But when I say consistency, I don't even mean it as in consistency in, like, you know, recording at a set time every day, whatever, which I would always recommend that. We don't do that, to be fair. But, like, my consistency has always just been, I've just been me. I've always just consistently just been myself. And, like, that has helped me. Do you know what I mean? I've come and I've just, like, found my lane, found the thing that, like, you know, almost like my purpose. Do you get what I'm saying? And I've just ran towards it. Like I say all the time, I don't know where this whole thing is going to end for me. I don't know where the end goal is. All I know is, yeah, there's a big, see in the movie, yeah, where you see the big sunset, right? And then there's like the car that's going towards the sunset, and then usually it ends. I don't see it like that. I see like the big sunset. I'm like driving down the road. This is my career now, so I'm driving down the road and I'm enjoying this. And then, yeah, what, there's a right turn. Boom, let me just go down there quickly and see what's going on. Oh, what? No, I don't really like that. I'm coming back here. I'm going to go down the road because I'm enjoying this. This is good. This is lit. Oh, boom, there's a left-hand turn. Boom, let me go down there and see what's going on down there. What? Oh, this is me. This matches my vibe. I like this. Yeah, I could do this, actually. Actually, this inspires me. Yeah, I'm going to stay down this road a little bit. Boom, I'm going to take another. And with doing all of that throughout my career, the one thing that has just remained the same is that I've just been myself. I've not tried to be anyone else. I haven't tried to come and pretend to be anything that I'm not or anything like that. I've just thought, you know what? I'm an inquisitive person. Let me just go down that inquisitive lane, talk about things from my perspective, have people come and teach me some things, chat some shit, learn some things, and we'll see where it goes. And yeah, keep watering the plant and things happen from that.
And authenticity just shines through.
100%.
Being real just works in the end.
Of course. I think as well, yeah, when you are consistently yourself, yeah, you can put that into like a spider diagram, and there's all of these different legs that come from it. And you know, you could say authenticity, you can say integrity. There's like all of these things that come from that. You know, if you're not consistently yourself, then you'll probably find a lot of the time that there isn't no integrity and there isn't no authenticity and stuff like that. So like, yeah, man, we'll see where it goes, bro. But I am in terms of like professionally, I'm happy. I want to see obviously people around me win as well. I think it's very important for us to encourage each other, try to execute some new ideas and whatnot. But yeah, you know, the bread and butter is this podcast plant.
Mm-hmm. We spoke a lot about the story. I mean, there's so much that we can still probably talk about because you haven't really done this before on yourself. But I want to talk a little bit about the difficult days as well, because you seem like quite a wise, positive guy that kind of gets through any situation. But behind closed doors, a lot of people don't know some of the struggles, maybe through the years or maybe through the DJing or whatever it may be. But if you could kind of think back about certain moments in your life where you were just, these are really dark days, what would you say?
Bro, you know what? I had a couple of years, where things were really, really emotionally and mentally bad for me, because I felt like every year I was progressing. Every year I was progressing. I was becoming like a bit more established as a DJ. I was putting on events and doing all of these things. And then like I had a couple of years where that progression stopped. Yeah, I didn't realize this at the time. I knew that the progression had stopped, but I didn't realize how much it was affecting me. Yeah. And I was really down. I actually remember one time I had a party, and I didn't want to go. Like, I was in bed, bro. Like literally, I had this event on. It was in North London. I was actually doing it with someone else, but it was on me. Like I was the one who was like promoting it. My face was on it and all these type of things. And like, I was in a bad place, bro. I just wanted to not be there. I just wanted to just wake up and it just be over with and whatever. And like, I was getting moments of feeling like, I don't even know if like, am I wasting my life? Do you know what I mean? Am I wasting my life? I never went to university. I didn't have a backup, so to speak. Do you get what I'm saying? And as I was getting a bit older, I was thinking, shit, man, like, maybe I should just like go out and just go and do something else. And I did. I actually for a year, or just over a year, I worked with a company that was still within music, but it was in a different world. And they were putting on festivals and stuff like that. And it was a sick time in my life, actually, because I learned a lot. Even though I was like, it was mad because I was broke. I didn't have no peas, really. I was kind of on my face. There was things that was going on privately. And then I'm doing this, So I'm getting up and I'm going into an office, which is like, almost a new-ish thing to me. And so I'm working on this festival with them and whatnot. And you know what is so funny, bro? Imagine I'm in this office, right? And one day they've said to me, you know what we want you to do actually, right? As promo, there's this DJ. His name's called Digweed. He was like a house legend, yeah.
Okay.
Like, do some research on him. We've got his telephone number and just interview him, yeah. They don't know nothing about me, you know. These times, by the way, I was just on radio, so I wasn't really doing much but they didn't know that I did anything to do with like radio really or talking to anyone. So anyway, I like put some notes together and whatnot, and then I went into like a private room and I thought, you know, fuck these notes. I'm going to have because I'm curious about what goes on in this world or whatever. So I sat and had my own kind of conversation with this guy, and they listened to it and they were like, rah. At first, they didn't even say it was good. They just said, oh yeah, could you type up like, could you type it up or whatever? Next day I've come into work, yeah. They're like, yeah, could you chat to this one, that one? I was talking to Calvin Harris. I was chatting to all of these different people, yeah. And that was giving me a level of fulfillment, but I was still really down because I wasn't, it was weird. Like I felt like everything that I'd worked for wasn't really going in the direction I wanted it to go in. But ultimately, yeah, a part of that was a sign because I've gone into this place. They don't really know much about me. I'm sitting and I'm having conversations with people and that. I said to myself, you know what? After that was done, I'm gonna just give this thing one last go. I'm just gonna just keep going in it and just see what happens. And I remember chatting to my brethren one day, and he said to me, we were sitting down, and he was like, he goes, bro, are you happy? Then I was like, yeah, bro. Like, yeah, of course, man. Then he was like, nah, man. He goes, don't just answer like that. Like, think about it, innit? And then answer. And then at first I was thinking, right, why is he fucking, like, we don't chat like that. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, me and him don't, like, that's my best friend. But we don't chat about
feelings
that. What are you, that's a mad question, bro. So for a minute, in my mind, I'm like, that's a mad question, bro. But I didn't say that. But in my mind, I'm like, that's just a mad question. Like, why the hell is he even asking me that? But then I started to think about it and I was like, nah, I'm not happy. And I explained to him why I wasn't happy. And that was a conversation that helped me as well because, you know, it made me trace back to why I didn't feel happy. And I realized that I wasn't progressing. I didn't feel like I was progressing and I was scrambling or whatever. But you know what, yeah? Sometimes you just have to rebuild and rebrand, yeah? And like, that's what I did. I just thought, you know what, cool, I'm gonna rebound, yeah? I'm gonna rebuild somehow, and I'm just gonna rebrand. And I just worked towards just doing that and just going, and yeah, the more that I kept going, the more I started to feel a level of fulfillment. And as I started to feel that fulfillment, I kept running towards it. Because I knew how bad I'd felt prior. I knew, you know, I knew that there was days that I couldn't get up out of bed and do all of that and all that type of stuff. I knew how difficult it was getting for me. So once I was getting a level of enjoyment and fulfillment, I was running towards that. All that came from that was, how can I make me a bit more comfortable financially? Because I'm still DJing, so I need to lift up my name a little bit so that I can maybe get more bookings and all that type of stuff. So I did all of that, and then it kind of just all fit into a bowl.
What would you say to people who are watching, particularly the youth, that are going through dark days in potentially pursuing their passion, but maybe it's not completely going their way, whether that's music, online creation, or whatever it may be, but they're struggling, maybe the money side is not 100% there, but they're passionate and yet they're still not happy. What would you say for them to be able to get out of their bubble like you did?
So what, in regards to like, so what, say that again?
So in terms of like, so there's some people, right, there's like two types of people.
Yeah.
There's people that pursue a passion,
yeah,
and it ends up working for them,
Yeah.
or not, either way, but they pursue their passion.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's other people that they don't necessarily pursue a passion. They go down this route purely because of the money and the financial gain. Whether or not they're happy, who knows? But they go down that route. Now, my question is, for people that do go down the route of going with their passion, and they've said to themselves, okay, I'm not going to go down that route. Like, maybe my parents are telling me to go down that route, but I'm not going to go down that route because I want to do what I'm passionate about. But yet it's not working, and you have those days where you're stuck in your bed.
Yeah, listen, like, you know what? Yeah, sometimes when you're doing the thing that you're passionate about, especially in the creative industry, yeah, trust me when I tell you, it ain't easy. Like, it's not easy. And, you know, sometimes some people come flying out the gate. But a lot of the time, a lot of people don't. Do you know what I mean? And, like, it gets hard, but you just have to keep going. And sometimes you have to think about, all right, cool. What else do I need to do that can support this as well, though? Or support me in that? Because you know what? Occasionally, there might be a time where it might be like, you know what? It might get so peak where you're like, you know what? I need to just get me a quick, light, part-time something. Do you get what I'm saying? That is fine. Don't make society feel like you can't do that. Go and do that and reinvest it back into your business. Reinvest it back into yourself. Do you get what I'm saying? Or you just might need bills to pay. You might need to do that to just get, like, you know, these bills or fines or whatever you may need to do, yeah? But, like, keep going. If you believe deep down in your heart, yeah, that is your purpose and this is what you're supposed to do, then you just got to keep going. And you know what? Sometimes when you keep going, yeah, it might take you down a place that you wasn't even expecting to go down, which is even your bigger purpose. I didn't think, bro, I'm a music man. That's my DNA. I will be 90 years old playing music, bro. I'll be 90 years old playing music at someone's house or in my house or doing it by myself or whatnot. I didn't think to myself that I was going to be sitting down and having conversations like that. But ultimately, by doing what I was super passionate about, led me to something else that made me realize, like, this, I am actually good at this and I enjoy doing it. And I can actually fit the two in somehow. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think it's about, like, just being consistent and being determined, you know, and persevering. That is a massive thing. You have to persevere. And you got to try to, you know, read some of the other signs and, you know, speculate to accumulate. You know, sometimes you might have to do elements of that. But you know what, yeah? What you're experiencing right now when you're by not doing anything and, like, being demotivated or whatever, that is not your finish line. That doesn't have to be your finish line. It's your finish line if you choose to make that your finish line. But you can get up and say, you know what, yeah, I'm going to persevere through this. I'm going to try. I'm going to speak to some people. I'm going to, you know, get some opinions from people. You don't have to take them, but just get some, you know, some perspectives, some opinions, ask some questions. But, like, I'm just going to keep going. Yeah, I had to really thoroughly understand, yeah, not every interview that I do, not every podcast that I do, not every conversation that I do is going to bang. And it's all right. It's fine. Do you get what I'm saying? It's fine. That's just how it goes sometimes, isn't it? But you know what? Like, I know that this is something that I'm passionate about. I know that it's something that I'm good at. And I know that this is something that could lead me into greater opportunities. And if you have that same belief deep down, even in your days of feeling shit about the system and how the things working and all of that, yeah, listen, dust yourself off and crack the hell on.
100%. Because I think it's quite sad. Like, I know you have a younger brother as well. And, you know, sometimes I really feel blessed that I'm not going to school right now or growing up in the new generation. But then at the same time, I feel kind of sorry for them. And this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to start doing podcasts, was because I know that there's a lot of young people out there that there's so much content out there, but there's not enough for young people to show them that, look, things don't happen overnight. You know, you do have to put the work in. You don't have to kind of worry about the likes on Instagram and worrying about making other people happy that probably you don't even like anyway. And focusing more on yourself and focusing on your journey, because most likely those people that you're trying to impress right now, they're not going to even be there 5 to 10 years down the line. But it's hard to get through to them when they're going through it, and that's why I think it was so important to hear your perspective on it.
Yeah, you like, I don't know. Everyone's got different like dynamics and situations and stuff like that. I always sit down with my little brother and have conversations with him about things and fully make him understand the difference between perception and reality. Try to make him understand things that he can use to inspire him, but also not to be demotivated, because you know what, even at his young age, he could go online and see someone his age that is like killing it on YouTube or whatever, and then he could instantly think, do you know what, that could be me or whatever. I have to remind him, I'm like, bro, like not that he ever says that. He doesn't ever say that, and like, he seems like he's got a really good, even at his young age, he's got his head screwed on. But I'm like, you know what, man? Like, you can carve out your journey and the thing that you're passionate about. You can do whatever you want to do. I tell him, bro, you're sick, bro. You can do what you want to do. Whatever you want to do, bro, go for it. But you know what? Yeah, just find it within here. Don't do it because you're just seeing a whole bunch of other people doing it, because you're not going to get any fulfillment from that. Do you know what I mean? You could maybe even imagine thinking about it like this, yeah? You're doing this just because someone else has done it, yeah? And you might even get to the level that they've got to, but you know what? It doesn't feel as good. That person is indulging in it and loving it because that is something that they're passionate about. You just got there and it's just like, that's not fulfilling. To me, that is not fulfilling. You could get paid hella peas for that, yeah? To me, you are not fulfilled by that. Go with the thing that makes you feel that way, innit? Because you got the time to do it, you know? But
you see how, like, earlier in the podcast, you mentioned that, you know, you were happy when other podcasts were coming in the game because you realised the importance of that, like, the audiences diversifying and going from one platform to another and opening up the game. But let's say for a scenario of a young, maybe 14, 15-year-old who's in school right now, and they see someone with a Rolex or an older pulling up in a nice car, and maybe they're even those things are coming from doing wrong things. How do you have these conversations with your brother, as well as how would you advise these young people to stay away from certain things in the streets and just stay screwed on and focused and realize that Rolex that person's got or that car that person's got, you have to be real to yourself and I think go in the right direction?
The aesthetics mean nothing if you haven't fully worked for it yourself anyway, really. Like, those things might feel a little bit fulfilling when you work and you achieve something and you want to treat yourself and whatnot, yeah? But trust me, those things anyway, they are short-term satisfactions. You get me? So even if whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing to get it, you go to the shop and you buy it and that feels sick. And then you have it and then after a while, it means nothing. I think I said on a podcast before, yeah? Imagine, right? Don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. I'm not pro obesity, yeah? But let's say you go and you're away on holiday, you got a bit of a belly, just a tad bit of a belly in that, yeah? You can fling on some jewelry, you can fling on the big Rolex, you get what I'm saying? You're out here, it's lit, and you feel sick, huh?
A jewelers.
Yeah, that's it, A jewelers and that, it's lit, all of that. You got all of that around you, you step out and you feel absolutely sick because you've got that around you. But you take it off and you feel naked. You know what I mean? You take all of that off, you're standing by the pool, and now you don't feel as lit. You don't feel as attractive. You don't feel... Do you get what I'm saying?
Your confidence is in the materialistic.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The confidence is just in that. So I'm like, yo, don't put your confidence in that. Do you know how sick it is when you are standing at the pool? You might still have a little bit of a belly or whatnot. You don't even have that. You don't have none of that, but you still feel good. You still feel like, confident. Yeah, I'm out here. Yeah. I'm out here doing what it is that I'm enjoying. Like, I like it. I've got elements of fulfillment in the things that I'm doing and whatnot. I got, you know what I mean, I feel a bit confident or whatnot. You've put that in the right place. If you put it in that, the moment that goes, or the moment that you ain't able to afford it anymore, you're doing all kinds of stuff to be able to get that back again. Do you get what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think, I can't remember the exact question that you asked me, but I'm like, I remember saying to my brother one time, yeah, we was talking about, because he's filming stuff and that as well, and like, he was saying to me, yeah, like, I want to get a car. He was talking about getting a car or whatever it may be, yeah. Because I'm asking him about his work. I'm saying to him, yeah, like, what's going on with your filming or whatever? And he kept going on about this car and all of that stuff, yeah. And I said to him, bro, like, focus more on your work and then everything else will come in it. If you're focusing just on the car, you know what might end up happening? You might end up being able to afford the car, yeah, but then you can't afford to drive it. You can't afford to get insurance on the car. Can't afford to put petrol in it. You're young, so you're probably going to get hella fines and all of these type of things or whatever, yeah. See that focus here that you've got on trying to get this car. Focus that on your work and what you're doing. And trust me, like, you'll just notice one day, oh shit, yeah, you know what? I can go and get that if I want to. I could go and get that. Put your focus in that. Put the focus in the thing that you're passionate about more so than the aesthetics. And then all them other little things, if you want them, can come.
Chuckie, we could probably sit here all day. I know I could, going through everything. We've kept it quite serious as well. So I want to end it on a bit of a funny note. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? If
I could have any superpower? Fam, I don't even know, bro.
Whether it's to fly or, I don't know, it could be anything. Any superpower that isn't really possible. If you could have anything, what would it be and why?
If I could have any superpower, maybe, I don't know, bro. I'll say something, but then I'll change it immediately when I leave. But maybe it would be sick if I could be in two places at once. That might be good, because then that way, I could just get like the work shit done or whatever. But then now, would I be able to enjoy shit though? Because then, like, if I could be at two places at once, then I could be here, but then I could also be on a holiday. But then how do you enjoy that? So nah, maybe not that actually. The flying thing, that's just a bit generic. No, nothing's that important for me to be able to fly. I wouldn't want to read people's minds, because that would make me probably hate the world. Could you imagine if you could read everyone's mind, bro? Shit, bro. Do you know what?
That would be dangerous.
Huh?
That would be dangerous.
Yeah, it would
be. For your own mental health.
Bro, I can't even answer that. I don't even know. I don't even know.
There must be a time where maybe there was something going on in your life and you just wished that you could have done something. Like, for example, when you were stuck in your bed in the dark days.
Yeah.
Maybe the ability to be...
I got one.
Bulletproof.
Nah, not bulletproof. Maybe, yeah. I'm making up this superpower now. So maybe, like, the ability to have extreme foresight. So the foresight now is, it's not necessarily going to tell me exactly what's going to happen, but the foresight could give me an idea of what could potentially happen by the actions that I'm choosing to take at this moment. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, you can think about it from a simplistic point of view, because you could say, you know what, if I punch this guy in the face, there's a possibility I'm going to go to jail. But I don't mean it like that. I mean it more in a sense of, you know what, yeah, like this conversation that you have with this person could actually lead to this. There is this that could happen, or there is, like, do you understand what I'm saying? Extreme foresight. If I could have extreme foresight, not something that's going to tell me what to do, because I don't want that. There's no fun in that. I don't want to know, you know what, like in 5 years time, I'm going to be doing this. I don't want that. I just want, like, I feel that like sometimes life do you ever remember them books, yeah, where like there's a start and then you read the book and then you can either go here or there. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, different directions and that. I would love to be able to actually see the foresight. That would be sick.
What's at the end of each door, basically, or not what's at the
not
end
what's at the end, but like just the opposite of like. It's hard for me to explain it. Do you get what I mean when I say that though?
It's a question that got you thinking though. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, it's like, extreme foresight. If I could have extreme foresight, bro, that would be cold, bro. Seriously.
That's a good
one.
one.
That would be cold.
So your face is everywhere right now, but what can everyone expect? Anyone that is following your journey and is literally looks up to Chuckie, what can they expect from you coming up next over the next couple months?
Just more conversations, man. Like more conversations and that. More different bits of content. But do you know what? At the moment, like right now, in the short term, the main thing is to build upon the stuff that I'm working on at the moment. So that is obviously the podcast. It's trying to get more stuff done with Vice. I'm in the middle of filming another gangster rap. Also the JD thing. But also the checkup, which is another thing that I'm doing and that. So these things I want to just like try to make as sick as possible. So those are the main things. Do you get what I'm saying? In the long term, like a little bit more content and that. But like, I don't want to be in 1,000 different places. I just want a few different homes. I want a few different homes, and I just want them to be as sick as they can be, as impactful as they can be, and you know, everything else will do it, whatever it's supposed to do. Do you know what I'm saying?
Chuckie, it's been amazing, bro.
Yeah,
honestly, thank you for taking the time out.
No doubt.
I'm sure a lot of people are going to benefit from this. There's a lot of value in there for the young, for the youth, and just for anyone watching. I think there's a lot of things that they can learn. So I'm really, really happy that you
Thanks,
came
bro.
on.
I appreciate it, man. Seriously, like, it's good to sometimes having these kind of conversations takes me back into like little moments and how I thought and think about things or whatever. But yeah, man, it's good to just like I appreciate the support that people have shown and stuff, and like by no means have I made it. I know there's a lot more gears to go. Personally, I feel like I'm only in gear 2, if I'm being honest with you. But we'll see.
It's gonna be scary to see your gear 5.
No.
So for anyone that hasn't maybe seen Halfcast, be sure to go on YouTube or all the platforms, check it out. Trust me, it's probably my favorite. Well, I think it is my favorite podcast. So definitely go and check that out, and also follow Chuckie on Instagram as well. What's your Instagram handle?
Everything's Chuckie online.
Perfect. Go support that. And if you have made it this far, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. And if you're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, also be sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, man. Blessed.